His opponent in the upper right, in the red, demour the wall from Berlin International Gaming. He is ShoWTimE.
And I believe that we are going to be seeing an engineering bay block. Great way to start the match. Good way to discombobulate your opponent. And if the Protoss player does not check on this natural expansion with a probe, it can delay this expansion for a very long time, or even sometimes force them to take it on the third base. You don't want to do that. It opens you up to so many aggressive options from the Terran, and it's just a real pain to deal with.
That it is, and this is something that Ryung has been doing at least once a series, and I believe every TVT that we have cast. It does appear to be the way he wants to play the matchup, and oh yeah, ShoWTimE, as you said, it maybe forces that. So the third base is going to get taken, the natural's going to get taken at the third, which means Ryung can pretty safely just cancel that eBay. He's going to hold it a little bit longer to make sure that ShoWTimE's not going for the double fake, which I don't really like, but sometimes you will see players do that because the natural is so much more defensible. But as the Nexus continues, well, there we go. We will see the eBay get canceled. And almost as importantly, because of this build, that ShoWTimE's build getting messed up here, he's not going to feel any need, despite the eBay block, to go put the command center on the high ground, as one would often do, because, well, you're just a little bit slowed down. So, command center on the low ground, 1-1-1 behind that. Ryung, minor lead in this game.
Yeah, it's a comfortable, solid start for him. It creates a game state that is less comfortable for the Protoss player. Not a huge deal. ShoWTimE, he is very familiar with the matchup. He is very up to date. He is very solid. And he's not going to get bamboozled by this. He's not going to be flustered. This is not his first engineering bay block. It's a nice move, but yeah, not gonna be the end of the world. He does elect to delay that warp gate to get the faster Stargate, which is gonna allow him to get the faster, most likely, I'm gonna assume, Oracle. Will he go for the Oracle into Blink? We'll see. He is also very familiar with going for Phoenix play, and he's a big fan of both.
That he is, Steadfast. But on the flip side, we've seen Ryung do some really cool stuff in this match. I mean, he's kind of doing that again, getting that quick second barracks before the starport. And going, I think we might see him do what he did. What was this? Against Creator, right? Game 1, where he hits with that kind of weird, quick stim timing. Third barracks on the way before the starport. But Widowmine, yeah, no, this is going to be that push with the Widowmine, and he's just going to run across the map with a bunch of Marines with stim and hope to get ShoWTimE at a weird timing.
Yeah, it's a really cool way of playing. You forego the early harassment that you can get. You know, maybe that's a Widowmine drop, maybe... Well, I mean, realistically, it's almost always going to be a Widowmine drop. It's usually a Widowmine drop that hits around that 430 mark, 440 mark, just before that blink timing. But you give that up in order to get a very quick stim and combat shields. You get the starport and reactor at the same time, get that double medevac production, and you end up with a timing that hits a minute earlier than Protoss players are used to dealing with. And ShoWTimE, he does get the scout very early on. That's what he wanted this Phoenix for. Hellion tries to run into the main base, but Ryung, well, he gets lifted, and ShoWTimE going to be able to deal with this very well. Demour holds.
Yeah, and again, we need to point out, this is a very much a ShoWTimE thing. Going for Stargate, going Mass Phoenix, and while a lot of players were going Stargate for a while, Stargate into actual Phoenix rather than Stargate into Blink or something like that, that we are going to see Zest play tomorrow, it does have issues maybe because it does fall apart under maybe early Marine pressure, but it is absolutely something that ShoWTimE will be able to hold. Is already we got a Robo Bay on the way, or Robo Facility on the way, and it is only one Phoenix. Well, although I guess more are on the way now. As ShoWTimE knows what's happening though, he should be able to mount a defense.
I think so. And he is a player that when he thinks that there's a big early push coming, if it's going to be a pre-stim push with, you know, some tanks, maybe a landed Viking or a Liberator or a medevac, couple SCV pulls, he'll usually warp in a lot of adepts. But against something like this, I think he should have the read based on yesterday's games that what he would like is something like this, an Immortal, all his units clustered together, a shield battery at his vulnerable bases. And while the shield battery is not all that far forward, it will be very difficult to snipe. So I like this positioning.
Yeah, I guess there's
one in the natural.
Yeah, I guess there's an interesting situation that Ryung can find when because he forces the natural at the third, maybe he can look to segment those two bases, but ShoWTimE, of course, already having that third base underway doesn't make that big of a difference. And already here, Ryung, he's moving it on the map, hitting that 6 odd minute timing that you were talking about, +1 finishing up as well. And looks like he wants to move into the third base. ShoWTimE, until the moment where he sees the army, decide where it's going to go, has to defend both places at once. But of course, it is always quicker to rotate between your natural and your third on a map like this than to actually be the Terran player having to do the same. So for now, ShoWTimE, he's in a good spot. And I don't really want to see Ryung commit here so much as, okay, maybe take a third. You understand that you forced a big defensive commitment out of your opponent, so back up. Don't spend your army, because eventually you will have more, and maybe you can leverage that a little bit later. Certainly with the Colossus on the field, this should not work for Ryung.
No, it's now that the Colossus is here, like you said, you really can't go for it. He is going to go for a drop, and I like that it's pure Marines. Well, on Marauder with it, but mostly Marines. The Marine focus was to try and deal with the air setup. We do have the Phoenix's repositioning going to be able to push this army away. And ShoWTimE, okay, that was a little greedy right there. Goes for the lift. Not able to get one of those Marines. Good job from Ryung. Very, very quick on the draw right there. It is worth noting, by the way, at the outset of this push, I missed it, but the Oracle actually got picked off as it was dropping a revelation. And so that's a nice little find for Ryung. Very nice find. It's going to mean scouting this army becomes a lot more difficult. And now we've got a Forge and a Twilight Council coming down. ShoWTimE going into the macro game.
Yes, going to macro game from a fairly nice lead in this game, actually. You're going to be able to take a fourth base fairly quickly, I think. Part of the reason is it's glittering ashes, and it is so hard for anyone to end a game. Also, of course, the nice macro lead that he has found for himself. Now, generally, at this point, the Terran player wants to be up 10, 15, 20 army supply, and it allows them to find pressure on the map. Ryung's build, while it gives you this really nice 6-minute timing, that if the Protoss player is not expecting it, well, things get a little nasty. If you don't pull it off, your command center is going to be a little bit later than normal, your production is going to be a little bit slower, and therefore it's going to take you a little bit longer to wedge yourself back into the game. But of course, Ryung, we've been talking about this, it seems like late game is his home, so he's not going to complain about having to go there.
No, I don't think so at all. I think he's going to be very comfortable doing so. He's been very good at, like I said, going for these big chess-type maneuvers to force his opponent out of position. It all revolves around shutting down vision and looking for good engagements. Now, we did have ShoWTimE building another Oracle right here, which I actually really like, because part of, like how Ryung's game plan revolves around denying vision, ShoWTimE's game plan revolves around having vision. So I like that he rebuilt that Oracle. I think it's worthwhile.
No, it absolutely is. ShoWTimE, you talked about this. His persona is about not being broken, allowing his opponent to run into repeated meat grinders of a Protoss defensively until, well, the Terran player, the Protoss player, the Zerg player runs out of stuff, runs out of the ability to get what they want to get done. At that point, ShoWTimE says, aha, you've fallen into my trap. Let me go kill you. But if Ryung doesn't do that, and again, very few, 3 Marines, 4 Marines, 1 heli, like very few, oh, he gets the second Oracle somewhere. Very few units have died over the course of this game. It's not quite it's not like no rush 10, but we're getting pretty close there, because both players understand that realistically the first player to take an engagement probably does not work out all that well in this game.
No, not if ShoWTimE, he's very comfortable to defend. There's a reason we call him Demourer, is because he is heavily defensively oriented. Now, we are going to see Ryung, after kind of patiently waiting on this left side, on this top side for a while. He goes into the natural, not going to be able to get anything done. Does scan, and I suppose he doesn't like that ShoWTimE is close enough with that army, and he's just going to disengage. But ShoWTimE's taken a big army supply lead off of this airtight defense. Ryung, he's going to have to be very careful about this army. If he gets up to 2-2, it's going to be a lot better for him, but ShoWTimE might hit before that.
That he has, but Ghosts are starting to hit the field steadfast. We're at 8 Vikings for 3 Colossus, so just about where you want to be, maybe a little bit low. But again, as you said, the longer this goes, the closer it is to ship upgrades, to being able to make your Vikings actually be somewhat useful. And the big thing, he scouts that this is a 4 Colossus play, not a 3. That should allow him to react as he needs to. More and more Vikings are on the way, and they're going to sit on the high ground. with +1 done, it is so hard for ShoWTimE to push up this ramp.
Yeah, a great rotation right there from Ryung defensively. We saw it from ShoWTimE earlier, and now we see it from Ryung. Like you said, putting those Vikings on that high ground pillar, allowing him to really be well defended for this. And ShoWTimE, yeah, he's not going to want to go for it.
Oh my goodness. And that's just an instantaneously dead Colossus. He got a shot on it earlier on. Actually, the Vikings are going to try to chase this down, and they're going to die to the Stalkers, but even still, the Colossus, they're starting to follow here the Warp Prism as well. A great start for Ryung as the army supply for ShoWTimE. It's 40 supply down. He's falling. Your Disruptors are not going to get anything. And again, the Master, the I don't even know what to call him. His engages are so good in this matchup.
He has such a dynamic understanding of what he needs to do and how he needs to win fights, and that has been his key to victory, is winning fights in amazing ways. ShoWTimE, he's gonna try and hold this base. He doesn't have the units. Ryung, he's done it again. He's gonna take down the 4th base. Papa Bear Ryung, where are you? You are in the winner's circle.
I want to talk about that last fight for a second, because we saw Ryung get a massive volley on the Vikings before anything happened, as Ryung stimming into the 3rd base now. I guess we can call this the natural Stalkers blinking forward. And now the one downside, it's a lot of landed Vikings. Disruptors will probably kill those off rather soon, but both Disruptors have spent their shots now. EMPs blanket them, so the Disruptors are dead. It's all Gateway units steadfast. That does not work out all that well for the Broadcast play. It's a 60 army supply lead. GG Ryung in dominant form takes game 1. Oh.
He is looking so damn good right now. The engagements that he is taking are just special. They are truly beautiful. He is playing so damn well right now. I cannot believe this. He's 31. People don't play this well at this age. He's playing out of his damn mind.
That he is apparently I've gone missing. I do apologize, folks, but you didn't come from my face anyways. Yeah, Ryung, okay, people made fun of us for hyping him up versus Cyril, and in fairness, Cyril is a great player and absolutely favored in that series. You look at the other 2 matchups, though, Ryung has not lost a single map in a non-TVZ since he dropped game 2 against Creator. And even then, that was a closely fought map. So, yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that Ryung just is looking so good here. And we're going to have to see Hardwire. It's another big map. It's another map that this probably is going to favor Ryung in this setup, the way he's been trying to play. I'm a little scared now.
It is really well suited to the style he's been playing, which is to say, looking for good positions and looking to outposition his opponent. That, oh my goodness, it's so funny because like going into the big fight that was basically game deciding, I said right before it happened, ShoWTimE will not push up this ramp. And what happened? He pushed up the ramp. His army was absolutely, completely just bunched all up on this ramp. 2 EMPs knocked out all the shields on everything, meant the Vikings obliterated the Colossus, and there was no disruptors. There was like 1 joining up with it basically as the fight concluded. And Ryung was able to hit that timing, 2-2 finish, +1 air weapons. Everything went just by the stars. And now Ryung is up 1-0 over ShoWTimE.
Yeah, going up that ramp, you talked about it. Beautiful engagement. But the big thing on top of the EMPs, I tried to talk about it, the game ended, but unfortunately Ryung so rudely killed ShoWTimE. He got a massive volley on that 4th Colossus. Normally, going 4 Colossus is a really interesting choice because Terrans will react to 3 and not get enough Vikings. But because the Colossus was just about dead anyways, and +1 air attack had already showed up, by that point, it was effectively 3 Colossus play. Ryung knocked the 4th out of the engagement before it got any damage done, and then by knocking the Warp Prism out as well, there was no saving the rest of them. And as big as the EMPs were and everything else, it was that Viking play that we saw pretty much through the last minute and a half of that engagement that really defined the way that Ryung was able to take that game, was able to move forward. And now we're going to have to see what happens as we have game number 2 lobby. We're waiting for the refs to say go. But, man. So actually, let's turn this around a little bit, Steadfast. Ryung has looked very good. He has not lost a single TVP in 3-4 series now. What does ShoWTimE have to do to turn that stat around?
I mean, the thing is, he played such an immaculate series, or such an immaculate game number one, right up until that one mistake. It was that's the only mistake he really made in that game. Now, well, okay, there's a couple small ones where he lost the oracles. That was actually very unfortunate. But I want to give big kudos to Ryung for really hunting for those. Like he knows what his game plan is, and it is to abuse the lack of vision of his opponent while having better vision than his opponent. And he's been doing that throughout this entire run. It's just been all about controlling information. What does ShoWTimE need to do? He needs to get better information. Well, that's going to be tough with what Ryung has been doing.
That it is. Again, Ryung's also playing a different style from what most Terran players do, and that just makes it even harder. But Steadfast, we're into game 2 now. Well, we're into game 2. The players are not, the viewers are not, but we're going to get into that just now. Game 2.
And here we go. Spawning down in the bottom left. Representing Berlin International Gamers, it is D-Mauer ShoWTimE.
And in the upper right, in the red, looking to win his 9th, 10th straight map against Protoss in this tournament in a row. He is for Team GP, Ryung.
And if you are not getting hyped about Ryung's performance, then I don't know what to tell you, because he has come at this tournament and come at these games with a vigor that I have not seen in some time. This truly strategic approach that he has brought is just so enjoyable and so entertaining to watch.
That it has Steadfast. And maybe even some Vim too to go with that vigor. But for now, less crazy things. Or I guess an eBay block isn't crazy, but we're not going to see that in this game number 2. And in part, it's because you're not really exposing anything by forcing ShoWTimE to maybe take something a little bit different. That third base is much more difficult to defend on Glittering Ashes than the natural opens up a lot more rotation paths. I don't know that that is quite as true here on Hardwire. So, also, you already have forced ShoWTimE to react to some sort of eBay block. It's going to be in the back of his mind, which means, again, maybe you find a little bit more of efficiency there, because ShoWTimE got to have it in the back of his mind.
Yeah, I mean, something a little bit funky actually for Ryung is that he went for this double gas build, and part of the goal with this build is that you are going to try and get a supply depot up full wall and prevent your opponent from getting a scout. Unfortunately for Ryung, he didn't prioritize building the supply depot enough, so the probe was able to get into the main base and was able to get that scout. And now ShoWTimE, he's not surprised by anything. He's not even going to be confused by any crazy mind games, any like absolutely wild stuff. ShoWTimE, ooh, nice positioning on this adept. Look at that, ooh, mirroring the movement, and will commit forward with the shade and says, "Get the hell out of here." Good job right there. Ryung says, "No more cleaning bots. You are gone." Like it.
I love how we see players at this point. They're so fed up with the dogs and the bots that a Reaper's running away from Adept. You probably want to get that out of the way, but he's going to take the time to kill the cleaning bot before he runs away. That is the level of hatred that we see for the doodads on the map right now. And by the way, this is not just something we see Ryung do. I've seen it happen in a couple different games in this tournament already, so it's kind of fun. Also, I got a notification. I was told that the Team GP manager, as much as we're talking about how confident he feels in Ryung's play, he's actually not watching the series. He feels too nervous about the results. So, you know, we have a lot riding on this game, because look, if Ryung wins this series and he's already beaten Special, it's going to come down to his match versus time to get out of this group. Assuming he doesn't beat Dark, which I don't think is likely considering that Serral series. This is arguably one of the more important matches. Well, every match is important, but probably one of the most important matches that Ryung plays today.
I think it is. I think they're all important, like you said, because whoever wins out from that 4-player kind of skirmish, bloodbath, will most likely be the one coming out in 3rd place. Like, even though Time took game number 1 off of Dark, Dark did come back and was able to win that series 2-1. So Dark and Cyril as the 1-2 in this group is still the most likely outcome. As it is, we do have this Oracle showing on up. It's a similar opening for ShoWTimE, although this time he goes for the build that we've been talking about quite a bit, that we've been hyping up a lot. The very, very quick blink after single Oracle, the Stargate, 1 Oracle, Twilight Council, very fast blink, very fast second and third gateway, and behind it will be a very quick charge. Now, I'm very interested, how will ShoWTimE deal with this 6-minute timing push that Ryung's going to be going for once again?
It's kind of funny, Steadfast. We talk about, wow, Ryung so good in the late game, and we've been hyping up, wow, Ryung, this master of the build order, the man who teaches Terrans how to play StarCraft in Korea. Well, okay, that stagecraft's not going to happen. We saw Hero try to do that yesterday, and he was actually successful with it, although he didn't find the value he was looking for. Ryung very much on top of things in this game. But we've been hyping up Ryung as this player who is just the master of the build order. So smart, teaching Terran players how to play the game. He's played this exact same build order probably 60-70% of all of his TVPs thus far in this tournament. And it's working for him, so I can't find a reason to complain, but I wonder at what point he's going to have to move to something else.
That is a good question. I'm wondering about that too. We'll notice, by the way, ShoWTimE, even though he loses that stasis ward and that's a lot of energy down the drain, he has been extremely careful with this Oracle this time. Ooh, nice pick off on the Cyclone right there by ShoWTimE. Going to be able to blink away. Ryung will pay a heavy tax to get across this map, and that's what you need to do with this Blink Stalker style. We are going to see... Oh, he doesn't get that one Stalker that was dropping low on HP. And in fact, we're going to see just a retreat from Ryung, and a single medevac splits off. This is something I would not expect if I were in ShoWTimE's position, but ShoWTimE says, well, you know, that's why you're not here, Steadfast. And he warps in a Zealot, moves his Adepts into the main base, knows that the potential of a drop into the main is very, very present.
Yeah, that it is. But now Ryung moving it on the map once again. He's going to try to time this drop in the main base with pressure onto the third. It's going to be a little bit mistimed there. Stalkers, they're going to blink on top of the medevac. It's going to go down immediately. That's a significant loss in this early game, but the Oracle stays alive.
How did that live? How did it live? 6 HP.
One shot.
And that I feel like that big dumb Marauder. Where is he? This one. You're the big... The one is revelated right now. Got in the way of those Marines. Big stupid Marauder. Idiot head. Denies the kill. But there we go. Look at that. The Sneaky Widowmine. Sneaky Widowmine gets the kill on the Oracle. Okay. Makes up for big dumb Marauder.
Yeah. There we go. So now ShoWTimE marauding out on the map here, establishing presence. We're going to make it once again so difficult for Ryung to really move across the map. Charge is done as well, so pressure from Ryung is going to struggle for a little bit. And look at this. We got a fourth base on the way already by ShoWTimE. He understands that this push from Ryung, if it doesn't get a lot done, it does stall out for a little bit until the game does go later. Ryung doesn't have as much pressure potential. So you take a fourth, because with this style that ShoWTimE is going for, with quick charge, with blink, with everything you have, well, you do have more agency on the map right now.
Ryung just did something very cool, by the way. He checked on the army of ShoWTimE in the middle with a very small number of units. No scan, didn't use the scan. He used a stim to do so instead. Gets out of there, sees that there's a big amount of army in that location. What does he do? He takes that triple drop that he was waiting with on the left side, goes for the move into the main base. Initially, ShoWTimE did not have enough units here. He did actually warp in a couple more stalkers over here that was just enough to check Ryung's move. Ryung, a nice move in response, checks, scans the main base, doesn't want to run into anything, and moves away. But what a cool set of maneuvers from both players. There is some really high-level positioning coming in right here.
And Steadfast, look at Ryung's map. Unfortunately, actually, the Adepts will somehow sneak by despite this cordon of Terran that Ryung has set up, but he had total vision across the entire middle of the map, and he will be able to deal with this. Actually, with the snipe, there are going to be 2 Adepts that go down, maybe even a third, but no, it will get out. Okay. Into the natural here.
It's going to get some damage. It has +1.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be able to 2-shot SCVs. He gets 5 SCVs, 3 of them with that last Adept that just happened to shade forward. Game of inches. StarCraft 2 is a game of inches. Don't even try and tell me it's not.
Man, Steadfast, it is so weird in a mid-game to see a Protoss player up 20 supply in a game where not a lot has happened. I mean, if we look at resources lost, Ryung has lost twice as much, and that is reflected, but even still, for sure Protoss is going to be up workers. They're really not expected to be up army at all. So ShoWTimE, he has the advantage here. He has maybe an army that's going to be able to kill Ryung, but, oh, those DMPs are going to be very, very nice. Ryung has to play defensively here, and he's got to find some way to keep ShoWTimE back. That is a long Widowmine shot.
Oh, look at that. We do have Ryung finally getting into the main base with this triple drop. ShoWTimE will be forced to recall, and it is going to drag him back home. Ryung will lose one medevac. Wisely did not try and save everything, knowing that ShoWTimE was responding very quickly. So something right there happened. Talking about the vision game, Ryung, he has been going for these engagements based off information. ShoWTimE, his army was just north of the scan. And so that's why Ryung pushed up that ramp, ended up walking into a bit of a trap from ShoWTimE. And I've been talking about the vision war. ShoWTimE has been winning it pretty significantly in this game, even though Ryung's done a great job. Also, some great micro from ShoWTimE. He was able to pick off multiple ghosts with the Blink Stalkers, targeting those very expensive units down. ShoWTimE, heavy advantage. He's looking to push it.
Yeah, Steadfast, it is a 30 army supply lead. Ryung, he takes his fourth base on location and immediately runs it away. He understands that he cannot take this fight. We're going to see Disruptors try to knock a Widowmine down. That is something. Marauder dies as well as ShoWTimE running in. Looks like he took one shot on those Zealots. But this army from Ryung is not quite where it needs to be yet to be able to take this fight. +2 is going to be done in a second. That's going to make it a little bit more fair. But with the Disruptors here, even an advantageous upgrade position does not make up for the fact that there is a supply deficit. And with the splash, with the glowy balls, well, Ryung is going to struggle.
That was actually a bit of a dangerous position. As weird as it is to say with ShoWTimE having so much, that was a bit of a dangerous position for ShoWTimE. His Disruptors were a little bit exposed in the back. We see Ryung, he's doing so many amazing things to try and set up for these very, very good engagements. ShoWTimE was still, his army was just a little bit too big that Ryung didn't want to take the fight. Oh, we are going to see Ryung try to come in. Ooh, Disruptor shot does hit on those Widowmines. We'll take them out. Oh, nice split against these Disruptors, and actually he's going to force ShoWTimE back with some great splitting. He'll get every single Disruptor. Ryung, what?
Ryung just does not lose fights after 10 minutes in this matchup. He has the flank, the cheeky Widowmine on the backside, getting an extra Stalker, and the tech of ShoWTimE, it's been reset once again. There's not a single Disruptor on the map. The only thing that ShoWTimE can be happy about as that happened, +3 is about to be finished, and he did not lose the Warp Prism. So at the very least, again, he has a little bit more agency on the map, but Steadfast, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about ShoWTimE's positioning here. This is a very heavy gateway army. There's a lot of stuff, but as we saw in Nice Spirit yesterday, eventually this style that ShoWTimE is playing, it times out. The Terran gets to 3-3. That being said, the DTs and Zealots will find this third base, and that is going to force a heavy commitment back off the map from Ryung.
Yeah, but in terms of resources lost, if he gets both these DTs, which I think he eventually will with another scan.
Oh, Steadfast, the fourth base,
nice
quick.
job.
Ryung, he's getting blinked on time. He's going to lose this planetary.
That is a huge move from ShoWTimE. Great maneuver, drawing the army out of position. Ryung was looking to be aggressive with this left side army, and as a result, the right side army had to be used defensively. Wasn't able to get that, but look at this. Ryung with a counterpunch. He's going to find the fifth base. Now, this does still favor ShoWTimE significantly. He's on a big, big bank right here. ShoWTimE is still very much ahead in this game, but Ryung keeps himself in it with that base snipe. We are going to see ShoWTimE blinking on forward. Gets a few more ghosts. That's a really big pickoff. Ryung, though, another maneuver to the right side. ShoWTimE will drop the battery overcharge. Recall is not available. And, well, he's going to get back in position, though. Is ShoWTimE will chase this army back, but a pretty good position for Ryung. I don't know about this chase from ShoWTimE. That's a lot of ghosts, but he is going to be able to pick off a good number of them. EMP not going to be available. Meanwhile, on the left side, looks like there was a skirmish, but ShoWTimE was forced back a little bit. Ryung is losing a lot of stuff, and he is down in economy.
Yeah, that's the big deal here. You look at this, and you're like, shades of pulp, maybe things are going down. But then you look at the battle report and realize ShoWTimE killed like 7,000 total resources over that fight compared to a lot less from Ryung. So even the argument of, wow, Ryung, yeah, he's down in resources less, but he's starting to trade a little bit better. That is not the case. He's only on 3 bases. DT Zealots, again, finding this 3rd base that, by the way, is kind of starting to mine out a little bit. It's not even full mining here. We got a fight happening in the middle of the map as well that has all the tech in it. We're going to see ShoWTimE blink forward here. Disruptor shot again. Oh, it's going to land in the last second. Hot pick up there trying to keep Ryung alive. The army supplies, they stay somewhat equivalent, but every time this happens, Ryung takes another hit to his economy. His 4th base is just about done once again. But ShoWTimE, he's still on 4. He still has that big macro lead.
Yeah, he's getting back up. Actually, he's back up to 5 bases now. And at this point, this is getting to be a big problem. We do see the Disruptors very exposed, but there might just be too many gateway units here for ShoWTimE. Ryung, it's 3-2 versus 3-2 right now. He does have the defensive advantage, but he doesn't have enough army, doesn't have enough economy, and ShoWTimE will strike back in game number 2. What an absolute amazing game number 2. Both players stepping up.
That was the ShoWTimE we've been looking for that we did not see in game number 1. He, instead of losing and taking tremendous damage from the Terran aggression, from the mid-game, from the multitasking, yeah, he lost a base, but he traded one in exchange. And that Terran planetary, a lot more important to the context of the game than losing a random 5th base that ShoWTimE replaced fairly quickly. So this is the first map in 8, or at least like, what breaks that, what was it, 8, 9 maps in a row that Ryung has won in this matchup. And ShoWTimE, he's looking very good. It feels like maybe he started to figure out the way Ryung is playing. Notice he didn't go into Colossus. He didn't go into this one big army that can easily be surrounded and killed in one big engagement. He went for something where each individual unit is a little bit cheaper. It's more mobile on the map. It allows you to play the positioning battle against Ryung a little bit more than I have 3 Colossus and something surrounding them to support.
That is a great point. He is really playing this mobility versus mobility style. Ryung constantly looking for great engagements, constantly looking to find his opponent wanting, his opponent unprepared. But ShoWTimE didn't let him have anything. And that is insanely difficult. That is insanely difficult to avoid. And I gotta say, I am truly, truly impressed with both of these players. They're playing some damn high level StarCraft.
It's not even high level. It's damn level. There we go.
Damn level. I just didn't. My brain refused to let me get away from that word. This is World Championship caliber StarCraft, though. Absolutely.
That has absolutely been the story here. We say, hey, you know, I came into StarCraft during the online era. What am I missing? Why is everyone so excited about this offline setup? Well, round of 36 yesterday. I assume some matches in Group A as well, although ours were not incredible. And then the series we've had here with, say, Ryung and ShoWTimE, I think they've all kind of proven the point that offline StarCraft is better StarCraft and the World Championship is on the line. These players are hungry as hell to move on. And Steadfast, we're going to have to see actually who takes the advantage in the group. And the shot to move on as Game 3 is ready. 2,000 atmospheres of the map. Let's do it.
And here we go, spawning down in the bottom left, representing Team GP. It is Papa Bear Ryung in the blue.
His opponent in the upper right, playing a masterful game number 2 for Big. He is ShoWTimE.
In the red, in Demour, in the way of his opponent. And look at this, anticipating the engineering bay block, getting right on top of this SCV before it even reaches the natural. He's going to put so much damage on this. Look at this, already pulling 3 probes. I love this response. He's going to be able to prevent this from getting anywhere near enough HP to be a meaningful block. Only has to pull 3 workers because he was so quick to it. God, that was very, very well handled already from ShoWTimE. And he will find himself, I would say, that's a pretty nice start for him. That's a really nice start, actually.
I'm almost surprised to see Ryung commit to that, considering how much it was going to be able to complete. You might almost say, okay, look, I did not delay the Nexus. That's not great. But at the very least, I forced a couple extra probes into the natural. I did, you know, I slowed down things maybe just a little bit. And it's not as good as what happened in game number 1. Certainly not. But you also didn't commit to an eBay that you're going to have to cancel much quicker than you normally would. Look at this, Ryung. I attributed it in game 1 to the fact that it's glittering ashes and the fact that, well, it takes forever to run across the map, but he's also going to take a low ground base after an eBay block, and this is a fragile setup.
It's a little bit of a fragile setup, you're right. I kind of like it though. I kind of like it. It's a bit of a switch up here. It's a bit of a switch up. Now, are we going to see him go for this heavily kind of sacrificing harassment earlier, actual straight up attack timing? You know what? The thing about that is that it gets him aggressive units on the map and allows him to almost instantaneously start being aggressive against his opponent. ShoWTimE, he's going to open up Stargate once again, delaying that warp gate once more. He's comfortable with his build. And after game number 2 and even most of game number 1, it's easy to see why he has just looked very good, genuinely good.
And it's really, you say he looks comfortable in the build. This is true. But it's also an extremely interesting stylistic matchup here between ShoWTimE and Ryung. We've been talking about a little bit, but aggression versus defense. I really like the fact that Ryung is changing up his build in game 3. We talked about, well, he's played the same build like 5-6 maps in a row. You got to figure someone's going to start to react to it eventually. And Ryung, by showing the eBay block that he has been using with this 6-minute stem build, well, ShoWTimE could be forgiven in assuming that that's what's going to happen, especially seeing all these Marines on the map early. But no, it's going to be a Widowmine drop. That being said, ShoWTimE, as you said, he likes the Stargate. Phoenix is out on the map, and that should invalidate most of this.
Yeah, most likely. Now, ShoWTimE should be paying attention for this Widowmine. Okay, he knows. Yeah, he knows exactly where it is. He's looking for that little crinkle on the ground. You know, the Widowmine crinkle that it gets from using its little combat shovel. Can you imagine a Widowmine with a combat shovel? Please, can we get that skin? I want that so bad.
I need
it's the cutest little Widowmine.
I need Widowmines to have an auto attack that does 1 damage.
Oh,
there's 10 of these spellcasters, right?
They are. Can you imagine if they had like an auto attack that did spell damage? Or sorry, an auto attack that did damage, but like it had like 7 range.
Oh,
like,
that'd be
it's just
horrible.
You can just use it to like out-siege a planetary. Oh
god. So the Marines are gonna run forward here. That's a lot of adepts that ShoWTimE has made. Really good response. But the Widowmine drop in the main base, yeah, it's gonna get cleaned up as well. Ryung in the worst setup that he's had in this series. 1 Widowmine, none of them are going to burrow. ShoWTimE, he's on top of things every which way in this map number 3. He's got the download on Ryung. And that is not good news for Ryung fans.
No, that is really tough actually. We've got 8 Marines getting picked off. The Widowmine drop completely getting shut down. All these Marines actually going to fall, all for a singular adept. And ShoWTimE, he might just try and push through right here. There's only a couple Marines on the field. The Oracle plus the adepts, they're going to be able to go to town on this. Marines will all get picked off. The tanks, well, actually, I don't think he needed to shade out there with the adepts. I think he could have stayed just in range of the siege tank. But as it is, he is finding so much damage with this Oracle. This is a catastrophic start for Ryung, but he finally gets something with the auto turret drop, picks off the Oracle, but he's going to lose this Raven when ShoWTimE decides to dive on it, which is basically going to be right now.
Yeah, there's just not enough anti-air for Ryung after losing all of those Marines. We're going to see the Marines do what they can, but the Phoenix say to hell with that one. And that's cheap, even if I lose a Phoenix. And he's not going to lose a single freaking one steadfast. ShoWTimE is looking so good in this game now that we haven't seen Ryung lose a TVP series in 4 or 5 series now. But ShoWTimE, it's a big mountain to climb for Ryung now. And ShoWTimE, he's going into Colossus play. He's going into that standard setup that he looked so good with in game number 1 before he did end up losing.
Yeah, and it was just that one mistake where he walked up the ramp. So it's not like he got dominated. Like you said, he was dealing with everything very well, and he even had a scary timing. It was just a really, really well-positioned Ryung and a really good engagement that he took. It's not like ShoWTimE went into that and just, you know, stumbled his way, blundered his way through that game. No, he played a very, very solid game from a position of even, but now he is monstrously ahead. Ryung, I mean, you don't want to tap out now. You don't want to give it away. But what can he really do to come back here? We got to start thinking about what he can do, and the answer is really just drag this game out as long as he possibly can.
We've seen him come back from some pretty significant deficits so far already in this tournament, but he's got to start playing edge of the map StarCraft. Do not take a fight, put drops out on the map, find some way to do some level of equalizing damage, but that is the benefit of the way that ShoWTimE has chosen to play this series. He didn't stop at 5 Phoenix, not old school Phoenix classes. No, he's doing the way that Stats started doing at the start of the year before going to military, where you go up to 7, 8, 9 Phoenix. You have Phoenix do multiple fights. You have not quite one-tap potential, but even faster DPS against drops on the side, and it means that tanks are going to be almost useless for Ryung if he looks to push out. So he's got to go take a third and make something else happen, but he's not going to do that. He's going to 5 racks before his third CC. He wants to get aggressive. I don't see how this, actually, I'm sorry, the third base is actually going on location. Never mind, we're good.
We got to talk about something, by the way. ShoWTimE did not make a single observer. He went straight up. No, he made one observer, but it got picked up. But he has gone straight up into 3 Colossi. He's building a War Prism. He's got a ton of Zealots. He's going to push. And I don't think Ryung is going to be able to hold this third base. ShoWTimE has said, you are a dangerous opponent. I am not going to let you drag this game out. I am going to smash you right now. And it's going to be really tough for Ryung to stop this.
Yeah, I like what I see from Ryung here, where he's building missile turrets, trying to get that extra anti-air, because even if the push is not hitting right now, which it looks like it is, having that extra anti-air against the Phoenix, against the Colossus, really does enable you in the mid game. But of course, ShoWTimE getting that Templar Archives, looking to get some Archons, just a buffer here, and he's attacking through the position where the majority of Ryung's tanks are not. First 2, they're actually going to be exposed. We're going to see them get lifted anyways. ShoWTimE looking to put himself in a dominant position to advance out of this group. SCVs have to get pulled, but already the bio is falling apart. The tanks are going down as well. The last couple shots, well, they're going to hold still for a moment, but the lifts on the Marines seal the deal. ShoWTimE, he takes the series 2-1.